In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons will breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Case Closed, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on this channel or on Dr. Thunder's channel. Every week, 4 p.m. Standard Time. And today we're going to be talking about something that is perhaps an inside conversation, a conversation with a lot of background, a lot of things that we're going to assume and take for granted. But it's regarding the goal of a certain space, the goal of a man's space, the goal of the manosphere, and where it has indeed gone wrong, the kinds of ways in which these kinds of spaces tend to go wrong anyways, right? This is not a new conversation whatsoever. It's something that has been going on now for a while. It has had many different iterations, many different resets, and what have you. But today we're going to do a rehash of the conversation again, right? But with an idea of putting a nice framework around it, making sure that we understand what exactly indeed we are critiquing, right? Before just saying whom is guilty and innocent, but let's understand what the charge is. What is the nature of the charge here? What is the nature of the offense? What is the definition of the offense? But shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and click that like button, click that notification, well, not the notification bell. You're already here, but share so that other people can see the notifications. Shout out, we already have some super chats in the building. Shout out to Kaizorian Empire.
Young man, do you want to succeed, to expand beyond?
Indeed. Shout out to the Kaizorian Empire, indeed. And you got a little sound effect for us, Dr. Thunder, there while I go ahead and pull up the particular super chat.
Sure. What is that, like $1.83?
Something like that.
Well, I don't know. But with the what is it? The issues the dollar is facing right now, I don't know. Maybe it's worth about $100 now.
Who knows? De-dollarization, indeed. So, and by the way, if you're not speaking, just mute yourself. Right? We have some background noise coming from somebody. But shout out to you. He says low IQ blacks thinking they're saying something, or thinking they saying something. Let me get it right. Get the vernacular right over here. Shout out to Snuggles asking for us to drop the link. $4.99 iPhone user. Shout out to you all. Now, let us go ahead and start on an abstract basis here. I'm going to ask you a question directly, Kaizo. Is the Black Manosphere full of simps, and why? Don't back away from your answer. I think we already know your position. You came in as misogynoir, and you had a particular critique, which is that there is, that the space is filled with simps. So go ahead.
Am I allowed to name drop, or is that inappropriate?
What do you mean name drop?
Okay, fair enough. So I'll say the truth, right? I came in the Manosphere about 4 years ago. That's where I met people like Ike, Dr. Thunder, and everybody else, right? And I came into Bernard Riley's show, and I called in, right? And we had 2 separate shows, right? As a special guest, and I said that the Black Manosphere is full of simps. Why is that the case? Simple. The Black Manosphere has not evolved, right? They're still talking about the same thing, but they don't have solutions. And that's the reality, right? You have Daneka, you have all these women coming through. You got Just Buddy things recently coming through and almost taking the crown. I guess I said almost. I guess Fresh and Fit is more likened to the crown based on its views. But the reality here is this: the Black Manosphere wants to promote women. Now they came for me because I'm from the Britain, and they actually allowed a Britain woman, Jessica X, to be their queen at that time. That's what you call symptom. I'll leave it there.
Okay, no progression, and then this whole kind of crazy coronation game going on. But no progression will be the main thing that I've kind of hung on to there. So, Dr. Thunder, just so that we have a basis to start on, right? So we have a basis to kind of start on as to with regards to the critique here, okay? For the purposes of this kind of critique, SBE on one side, and then someone saying, well, it is useful to the ends of the space. The ends of the space has to do with teaching men, right, what the current landscape is. Let's say with regards to families, history, how we got here, and then sharing notes, comparing notes as to how to escape, how to get away. So far, is that, and, success, showing that, demonstrating that, let's say, Black male excellence, right? To use a phrase there. Now, the question is this: when does, or let me ask you this: is this space prone to demagoguery, right? People coming over here, taking advantage of the fact that people are dissatisfied, people are not getting what they want out of something, and then you go out there and you get subs, you get an audience, you take them under your wing, and you continue to feed them something which reminds them of their trauma bond them, get super chats and all that kind of stuff. Is such a space like this not indeed prone to that? What would you say about that?
Yeah, this is I think there's a great deal more nuance associated with this general conversation than is being discussed. So the first thing is that for all have simped, right? And so the world is full of simps, and I would say most people are simps. Most men are simps. Okay? And so I don't know why we would be surprised that a space where men congregate to talk about issues would not also have the same ailment, also be filled with simps. So I don't see that to be necessarily earth-shattering or even, frankly, problematic. I just see that as being, that's what the baseline is there's a lot of simping that goes on. And so the conversation and the sort of strategies to exploit the simps, you can also expect that is going to be there. Okay, that's just, it's capitalism, it's the way of the world, it's what it is. I don't have a problem with people making money doing whatever it is that they're doing, so long as that they're not, lying to people or doing something nefarious or whatever it is. So I don't really have an issue if you want to give your money to somebody that tells you whatever you want to hear, then fine. Now, I have an issue when disproportionately it ends up being women that, because they are parroting talking points originated by the men, this is a common issue though. Women always can get more subs more easily. They're always going to get super chats, like, much more easily than men can. If you take a look at the content of the men on this panel and the sort of thoughtfulness and the actual thought leadership represented, I can't think of a single woman in the space or in any space that is what is it, associated, the Black relationship space, that is anywhere close. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be rewarded for it. They're not going to, that we're not going to be, folks are not going to be rushing to their channel to give them money. And a lot of it has to do with the biological imperative. Men just want to do things for women. We've been hardwired to do that, and then we've been socialized to do it. So yes, there are simps. I don't necessarily have an issue with people paying to hear things that they want to hear. That's just called capitalism. But I think the real issue is we have to watch out for women. I did a video not long ago talking about the kind of women that I think can be involved in the space and the kind that cannot. And I concluded that there can be no Karens and no Keishas. Karen tries to flag your stuff, right? She's trying to get your manager. And Keisha thinks she's supposed to have a vote.
Okay, so you're emphasizing the women here and how they perhaps are taking part in the demagoguery themselves. It's a male audience, and you've said, okay, obviously that's why they're going to gravitate towards the women. It's a male audience, and they're the ones responsible for the simpery. And there are a proliferation, or shall I say, the preponderance of content creators is male in this space. So if there's demagoguery going on, and demagoguery has bad things associated with, seems like mostly it's men both subscribing to it and also maybe even promoting it, wanting it. Maybe some of the men wish that they could get as many audience or subs or super chats as the women, right? Now, I'm not going to stop capitalism either, 100%. That's not what. But your point is taken. Capitalism will happen. You have no issues in terms of people paying others. Simps do exist, but we have to watch out for women and the type of women. Perhaps something also having to do with reasons why you mentioned Nokishas and Karens, which we'll get into further, right? However, Donovan, let me ask you the same question here, okay? If this space, okay, now let's remove the capitalism aspect of it. Let's say that one actually did care about the plight of.
Hang on, just before you can answer, can I redefine the word simp? Because I think.
Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, you will get a chance, but I just remember the super chat. Shout out to the super chat over here. One man went to Mo. Thank you to you. Kaizo got that right. Kaizo got it right when he was talking about the simpery and so on and so forth. But anyways, go ahead and define the simp thing here. Go ahead.
Real quick. Yeah, I want to redefine the word simp, right? So yeah, from a very sort of linear basal form, the word simp is to do with exertions of energy. In this case, money is a good example. However, the word goes deeper, right? Being a simp is actually kind of obviously giving the woman unsimprocated resources. As I said, unsimprocated, right? If she's simping back for you, it's fine in a different context. If it's unsimprocated, that's when you're a simp.
Okay, so Donovan, and thanks for the clarification there.
Yep.
Donovan, there's a space like this. Forget the business aspect of it and all those other kinds of things. And if indeed there is a problem, and if we want to help men and compare notes, don't we have to watch out for the overwhelming, shall we say, enticement, or the word is temptation of demagogues coming through, giving people what they want, going deep into the bowels of TikTok, finding a video a day for the rest of eternity to show you about some crazy lady saying some crazy stuff. And we stay stuck around that, worshiping that particular old wound or something and never getting past there. Okay. Forget whether the person has the right to do it or not. Forget whether or not the audience that is doing it, they obviously going to get what they want. But should a space that has a particular goal, such as moving men forward, not watch out for the demagoguery and this kind of thing? What are your thoughts about what I just said?
Yeah, first thing I would say is that, well, let me simplify the definition of simp, and it's really, really simple as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, the definition of a simp is a man who gives an undeserving woman access to his time, his energy, his attention, and his resources. We have a lot of guys in and around the community that like to define anything you do nice for a woman is simping. You complimented your woman, you're simping. You bought your woman a gift for her birthday, you're simping. You said you sent in a super chat to a female YouTuber, you're simping. No. If you have a woman in your life and she is doing what is necessary to hold it down as your girl, she's fit, feminine, friendly, and faithful, she takes good care of you, she represents you in public, then doing nice things for her isn't simping. That's just you being bountiful with what you have for your woman doing what she needs to do for you.
Let me try this one on you real quick.
Sure.
With regards to the different kinds of aspects of simping. Okay. And there is a particular aspect here that bears upon this particular topic of the SBE aspect. So negotiating over power, right, with a woman. All this talk of, okay, to the table or this, that, and the other. Anything that takes away the full agency from yourself. That says, okay, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do password bro this, or I'm going to do whatever. This idea of negotiating with a woman, that being simp behavior, which is directly tied to this kind of SBE thing. What are your thoughts on that? Negotiating over power. Oh, I don't have power as a black man because of I don't have a partner. And I'm going to be talking about that partner, trying to get that partner to the table, those kinds of things. Is that simp behavior?
No, because you don't. Number one, you don't negotiate with women. You're not. But like in a relationship, when a man and a woman get together in a heterosexual relationship, there's an unspoken agreement between said man and said woman on different degrees, depending upon who brings what to the table, in exchange for her sexual fidelity and her deference and her submission. You will then take care of her physically, financially, et cetera, et cetera. Again, that's a very, very broad definition, but I can't remember the last time two people sat down and said, okay, we are going to get together and we are going to have a sexual relationship. If you cook for me, clean. No. Women like to act brand new when they hear guys like us talk about, we want a woman who's fit, feminine, friendly, and faithful. And it's interesting. Women who work in the sex industry, for reasons known only to the creator himself, they seem to have femininity and deference and submission down pretty damn good. Why? Because their audience is male. Women know what makes men tick. Women know how to motivate men. So if a woman says, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, well, she's simply making a choice not to do it. And if she says, well, I was never told to do X, Y, and Z for a man. No, there's the internet. You know how to take care of a man. If a woman isn't fit, feminine, friendly, and faithful, it's because she does not want to be. That's what it comes down to. So there is no negotiation with your woman. Any woman who recognizes you as a man with options, a man that she wants to get with, you've already checked off some of those boxes. Women never come to me, and when I'm involved with a woman, or when I used to be involved with a woman, women never used to ask me, well, Donovan, what do you bring to the table? No, they already knew what I brought to the table, which is why they chose me in the first place. But by the same token, they also know, hey, look, you have to act a certain kind of way, you have to stay away from certain kinds of behaviors if you want whatever this relationship thing is to keep going is concerned. Something else I'd like to really define is because it says, the black manosphere is full of simps and grifters. We misuse the word grifters so often. The definition of a grifter is simply someone who engages in petty or small scale swindling. I don't know who started this whole grifting thing, but the reason why so many people like to use the word, oh, you're a grifter and you're grifting, is because you don't get to make money doing something that you like to do. No one, and here's the thing, I will never, ever, ever, ever apologize for trying to make money on purpose. I don't care. Nobody chastises Gordon Ramsay for monetizing his restaurateur acumen, do they? No one criticizes Cesar Millan for putting out dog videos teaching people how to train dogs, right? And guess what? There are people who both agree and disagree with what Gordon Ramsay does. Guess what? There are people who agree and disagree with who and what Cesar Millan does in his dog training. Just because there's somebody who disagrees does not mean they're a grifter. No, Cesar Millan is very good at training dogs. And the fact that he was able to parlay his dog training acumen into a multi-million-dollar empire, that is a testament to him. Same with Gordon Ramsay, Wolfgang Puck. The only difference is that when we're talking about relationships, it's the same thing. You're preying on men's insecurity and preying on male anger. We don't have to do that. Men are already angry, and men are looking for answers. And if my answers can help them and myself, then why not? Why not? Why not do it that way? It's not against the law. And guess what, guys? There's plenty of free, great information online out there. No one is forcing you to watch videos. No one is forcing you to super chat. If a female content creator is making a video and she is informing you of things and you want to send her a super chat, that doesn't mean you're a simp. She is giving you value for value exchange. One last note on women infiltrating the manosphere. Women get more subs, they get more super chats. They help to broaden the message because more people listen to women when women are involved. We all know the YouTube algorithms favor women. So at some point we have to ask ourselves, are we more concerned about the message getting out or who exactly gets the credit for the message? Who cares who we hear it from so long as the message gets out there? But I think we have a lot of gatekeepers who say, well, since this is the manosphere, then it needs to be, nah, nobody's a gatekeeper. If a woman happens to do something better than you, then that's not on her. That's not her fault. Listen, I think a lot of you guys know Pearl is a very good friend of mine. I've known her now for 3.5 years. She's hardworking. She's smart. She knows exactly what she's doing. She paid to get good at YouTube. She paid to get the knowledge. She put herself in the positions. Now, of course, luck certainly plays a role. She came from an affluent family, et cetera, but that doesn't mean that she's not still outworking people. I think all the hate for Pearl is just simple professional jealousy. This woman...
Can I ask him a question really quick?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to
Yeah, so it's a question for everyone in the panel as well once it's their turn to speak. But the Sarah Gavi guy came out, and I'm gonna sound like a coon, but the reality is this, right? She gave people a choice and a contract. She didn't force anyone. Why are people crying? Fully grown men crying about a contract. I've received many contract options. I said no, yes, maybe. Why is that even a pontification in the black manosphere? That stuff is...
I'll tell you why. It's because it was a white woman who did it, number one. Number two, the 30-70 split to me was perfectly fine. And here's the thing. Only simple-minded people who have never run a business say, I can't believe she offered me a contract where I only get 30% of the revenue. Fam, that's the key word, is revenue. Profits equals revenue minus expenses. She's giving you 30% of the revenue. You're not having to pay any of the expenses. All you have to do is show up and talk. Pearl was going to give Sarah a contract to do literally the easiest part of content creation. We're all content creators. This is the best part of our job right here. This is the most fun because we're good at it. The real work begins and ends when the camera goes off. Pearl said to Sarah, she said, I will take over your entire channel. I will give you 70%. Or I'm sorry, she says, I will take 70% of the revenue. I will handle all the expenses. I'll give you 30% of the revenue for 3 years. By the time your 3 year stretch is up, you don't owe me anymore. And now your channel is taken off. But because he doesn't have the right.
Hold on one second. And I know you got to leave at 45. I believe.
Hey, we've got about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Shout out to AM1. Shout out to AM1. Do you want to read them real quick, Dr. Thunder, while I go through?
Sure. So AM1 says the whole space is a hustle. So why can't all the hustles coexist? Let guys complain about Keisha. Let guys make fun of guys complaining about Keisha. AM1 with another one saying, since there's no real message, let's all just profit from male rage. Cool. Get the next one. Can you guys address the idea of selling rage with Donovan? Besides money, what's the point of that? Congrats with your future nuptials, by the way. That's from Deanie.
Yeah,
we'll give you a chance to respond to that as soon as I get done. Spiritual Logic, aka Hulk, with the big $10 super chat. The solution is always in self-awareness, self-mastery, self-control, to be disciplined enough for a man not put himself in a foolish position and just blame a woman for his weakness so she will prey on. I think we have another one. Is that it?
I think that is it.
Yeah.
As far as showing up here on StreamYard.
Why don't you onto the why don't you respond to the male rage thing comment from Dini?
Yeah, sure. Somebody asked me, would Donovan take 30%? Yes, I would. I would absolutely take 30% of the revenue without having to pay expenses. You mean all I got to do is sit around and talk? You're goddamn right, I would do it. The male rage. Let me think. Okay, male rage. Since let's all profit from male rage. Cool. That to me, that's a non-starter. These are the kinds of, and I'm not saying that this is the way AM1 thinks, and I think maybe this was probably done in a little bit of sarcasm. At least I'm hoping so. But you're going to have a certain group of people that are just going to be angrier than others. Nobody is trying to profit off of male rage. If you happen to profit off of it, that's fine. But people in the middle of male rage, nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head. The reason why people purchase our products and watch our channels is because we know what we're talking about. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do this on a regular basis. Now, it's a great life. We all make great money. Don't feel sorry for me. But characterizing, trying to help men be the best versions of themselves and characterizing that as profiting from male rage, to me, that's disingenuous.
Okay, so let me ask Game Changer this, okay? Because there's an aspect of this which has to do with free choice, and you have the audience and they're going to do what they want, and you can watch them and criticize them, and there's nothing you can do about that aspect of it. But you can still criticize them, okay? You can still say, hey, average people are average and they're idiots and they do X, Y, Z, even if you know there's nothing you can do to change that. But Game Changer, the idea, a few things have been put on the table. Kaiser has mentioned that, hey, this complaining about contract stuff is simp-like behavior. I talked about the fact that, negotiating, quote unquote, with women is simp-like behavior. All this stuff that I'm talking about right now has to, and the whole calling out of the simp-like behavior of the space in general is, I would say, something that partly is on the aesthetic level, in the sense that when you view men doing certain kinds of things, you're like, this is not what men are supposed to be doing, such as, let's say, shaming, blaming and explaining. That's not a male strategy. Sitting around talking like a bunch of market women somewhere, going back and forth about who did this and who did what, right? Gossiping about stuff that happened online, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's something that aesthetically displeasing from the point of view of a particular archetypical male point of view. There's something displeasing about it. Do you see that, Game Changer? Do you see that a certain aspect, or maybe, and I know that part of this is cultural, okay? And then we'll go to LAR about this very same question. A certain aspect of the things that it is uncouth for men to sit around doing, especially given the fact that it's not going anywhere with regards to comparing notes on how you get out of, how you escape, right? What do you think about that?
Okay, so when we have to look at who determines what's cool initially. Ever notice how when it comes to things like that, the same thing that women say are uncool, these men are saying is uncool? Like, oh no, it's uncool to, correct women's behavior. It's uncool to tell them that fit, feminine, friendly, and I think Donovan Sharp added faithful to it. It's wrong to tell women to do that. And notice that or it's uncool to tell women to behave that way. And the women are also saying that. They're also the ones that say a real man wouldn't talk to women about women's behavior. A real man wouldn't want to correct a woman's behavior. So really what's going on is women are determining what's cool. They're telling a man what's cool and what's not cool. And then now we have a group of men that are parroting that message and saying, okay, this is
let me try this one on you. Okay. Basically, the situation is like this. In a where there is an order already established by men, there's a culture and so on and so forth. Okay. Men don't go talking about getting into women's spaces or into this whole thing about, the shame, blame, explain. The women handle that. They keep that going. And men establish the order by having a certain amount of power, whatever. We all know all the various arguments around that. Now, if that order has been removed, okay, the question now is, can you reestablish it by, correcting women? Or do you just go somewhere else, like let's say the passport kind of avenue, or you completely let it burn? Point being, you're not. I understand that this group of men whom have a certain kind of established order, and you can go from culture to culture, and you see the same kind of thing where men just don't indulge in these types of conversations, especially negotiating with women, talking about that kind of stuff, right? Yes, they are the ones that have said it, and you could say it's culturally determined and all that kind of stuff. But that standard is there, okay? Can you reestablish order by talking about women who have already left the plantation, if you will? if that makes sense, can you let a couple of more super chats real quick, and then you can react to that.
Here, let me step in here real quick. I'll read the super chats. Donovan actually has to go in a couple minutes, and I want to give him an opportunity to address something.
Yeah, I can stay until about 5. So no need to.
Okay. All right. Well, here let's read the super chats, then Game Changer, and then let's go back to Donovan. Okay, and so another chat just came in too. Make sure you get that one. So Snuggles says, "Do men in your culture have the ability to make their own decisions, or is it supposed to be talked about in their group first? Can someone explain?" All right. And one says, "Can the panel elaborate on my first super chat? We'll certainly take a look at that again."
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that support. And then Carlo says, "Space is okay. Remind your buddy O'Shea, because he hard on Pearly. GC, stop caring about those. They don't belong here." Okay. All right.
What is GC?
Support all over the place with the comment.
I don't know.
Can you say something to me, Donovan?
Yeah. What is GC?
My name is Game Changer. GC is
Okay, cool. My bad. Yeah, go ahead.
No worries.
Yeah, go ahead, get GC.
Okay, so about reestablishing order, I don't really know many Manosphere that are doing that. I don't know many Manosphere guys who are going over to women's spaces telling them to be a better woman. You need to do this. I don't really see that. And I know that a lot of detractors, they want to create a straw man of a guy that's going there, on his knees, like, please be a better woman. I know that that's the straw man that's being created. But if we want to name names, I'm sure to do that. I mean, Obsidian is pretty much capable of any depravity, but leaving him out of it, I don't really know of anybody that's doing it. That's one of the biggest straw mans that exists in the Manosphere. But I would just say show receipts on that. As far as reestablishing order, it's not even clear if that is what the overall goal of the Manosphere is. Basically, channels like mine, what I'm saying is women are behaving this way. And what you have been told, okay, put it like this. A lot of men do not even know that they are out of order. They think that is because they were born into this disorder. This is the world that they have come to understand. It's kind of like if you're an animal born on a barn or something like that. That's just the way of life for you. If you were born on a plantation, that is the way of life for you. They don't even understand that this is disorderly behavior. I bring that to the forefront. Look, this is not orderly behavior. What a man decides to do with it, and there's several things that have sprung out of this space, that men have decided to do. SYSBM, Passport Bros, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that men have decided to do with the information that was given. Now, as far as the grifting and things like that goes, really, that's just a way to try to shame any organization. Like, you can call a pastor or a priest or anything a grifter. You can even call a teacher. I used to tutor math. I used to tutor, algebra, trig, calculus, and geometry. Am I a grifter? Am I profiting from their absence of knowledge of this particular subject? I mean, you can really say that about anything or any way that information is sold or donations are given for information.
Let me clarify a little bit, because grift is a good, nice, short word that you throw in the title and whatnot. The reason I asked about demagoguery in the beginning of this, and we kind of started moving around that, is because that is a more refined definition of the problem. In other words, there's something political about it, where you see a particular, especially when you just have to stoke the people's sense of pain or whatever it may be. Let's go to MAGA country and tell them that the Mexicans are the ones taking away guns and Jesus or whatever, right? And then we just we get audience, we get stuff, we get all kinds of political benefit. That type of aspect of things, and that's why I asked Donovan, like, hey, if you indeed believe that there is a problem, and that individual men suffer as a result, and that these individual men need to get to some finish line, okay, then should be, if you care, okay, then the demagoguery that is possible in that, because it's not just, hey, I'm selling you McDonald's. There's something particular about this type, okay? It's very enticing. it's, you know, they call it trauma bonding for a certain kind of reason, right? So that's kind of what we're getting at, to kind of steel man that point a little bit. But I'll let you land the plane and let's give LAR a chance to kind of. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so what you're implying is that that we're being hyperbolic, that the problem is larger, or that we're making the problem larger than what it is. It most certainly is a very large problem. And the extent that it infected the minds of both men and women cannot be underestimated by any stretch of the imagination. You know, men are, and you were asking the brother earlier, you know, are there simps in the manosphere? Men are essentially being groomed to be simps from birth by their single mother. So,
Yep.
you know, they're going to be simps everywhere. You know, I mean, for asking us if there's simps in the manosphere is like asking, are there alcoholics in AA? You know, of course. I mean, they come to get better.
Yeah, that's why they're
come
here.
to-
That's why.
No, I mean,
I get
come,
it. I get it.
yeah, they come to get better. You know, they come to understand that this way of life is not conducive to myself.
Let's pause there, game changer, and let me I want to let LAR. Okay, on this get better front. Okay, what exactly is the man who is recovered? What does he look like? I would say, and I'll ask you to respond here, true or false? True or false? This man that is trying to move to, let's say, particular outcomes, let's just call them conservative outcomes, should not be bothered by what the type of non-conservative women are doing, which they will continue to do, which they've done from time immemorial. If you want to chase down social media looking for Keisha and what she's doing today for the rest of your life, you can do that. Okay, so to get better, are they still looking at this kind of stuff and still, you know, ruminating about what she's doing? That's number one. B, what kind of other things should they have to do with regards to their own productivity, their own resources, and their own maximizing of their male potential, right? Completely separate from the woman's stuff. So let's grant it, okay, they come in here as simps, they come in here to get better. Do you have a vision of, you know, the graduate, if you will? And are we producing graduates? Okay, what should they look like, LAR?
The graduates are productive men who don't care about this stuff at the forefront of their life and day.
So the graduates are gone.
No, they're not. They're not gone, but they're not as involved in this as people who aren't graduates. Like, what's basically, in my opinion, what I'm seeing is a bunch of guys, like what GC said earlier, who are either in the manosphere, in and out of the manosphere, or on the outside of the manosphere, make up a straw man manosphere to argue about, because they're doing what they say the manosphere is doing. When it comes to people simping, and no matter if it's women or people that you feel like is outside of the black manosphere, people who create content can't control who you watch and super chat to.
There you go.
So when you go over somewhere, because like I said it before, content creators we watch everybody for the most part. The same people who normally who are complaining about what this space is and is not doing it, they're in those other people's chats, watching those other people's videos, commenting and super chatting, and then turning around and say it's the black manosphere simping for women. No, if by your logic you're the one simping, but you want to blame it on somebody else. Now the guys who quote unquote graduated, they really don't care like that, because a lot of the people online, even though these relationship discussions have went on for years, you know, the men and the women, most of the people now, I don't think they're dating. I think a lot of these people are just socially awkward complaining. They're not even actually approaching. They're more concerned about what might happen and actually don't involve themselves. We got people who are basically armchair relationship quarterbacks.
Yep.
And that wasn't what the space was initially. Now it just became, you know, the land of people who need to complain.
And I'll say this. When the manosphere had first, you know, when its first inception back in the early 2000s, it was mainly just blogs and vlogs and all that good stuff. But when it moved over to YouTube, the audience, all of a sudden now we've got red pill channels popping up everywhere. The reason why the word grifter gets thrown around, and I totally agree with LAR on this one, but the main reason that the loudest haters are likely guys who have smaller channels. They thought that they could just wake up, I've got a camera phone and an opinion, and I'm going to be the next alpha male strategies. And then he figures out it ain't that simple. Then he thinks to himself, wait a minute, there's got to be something he is doing that's illegal, because surely I'm as good, if not better, than him. Why does he have 500,000 subscribers and I have 25 subscribers? He's a grifter. He must be lying. He must be lying to his audience. He must be doing X, Y, and Z. No, you just suck at content creation. You may very well know what you're talking about, but if you can't be educational and entertaining, you're not going to build a channel. And so,
Edutainment.
Yep, edutainment or entercation, right? It's sort of the same thing. So if you can't be entertaining and educational, then you can't do what these people are able to do, and that's what they're upset about.
Okay,
Hey, why don't you go ahead and address what you wanted to address?
Oh yeah. So as you guys all know, I recently told my longtime girlfriend of 7 years that we are getting married. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God!" A lot of people said, "R.I.P. Donovan Sharp. Oh, she's got you where she wants you. She gave you the ultimatum and you caved." No, I walked into the gym. I actually got it on video. I walked into the gym. Says Devin, "We're getting married." Now, we're getting married to the world. We're not getting married legally. Okay. We're going to have the ceremony. We're going to have the pomp, and we're going to have the circumstance. We're going to have guests and all that good stuff. But neither one of us are signing papers. Yeah, Donovan, but she could still take you for everything you have because of common law marriage. Number one, the state of Florida, the state that we are getting married in, does not recognize common law marriage. Number two, the state of New Jersey, the state we currently reside in, doesn't recognize common law marriage. And number three, the state that we are going to purchase our 5 acre lot on and build our house on, they don't recognize common law marriage. Now, I'm sure that there are risks out there somewhere, but if they're out there, I've done my best to mitigate them. But the reason why I'm actually giving my girlfriend, now fiance, the title of wife is because she deserves it, guys. She deserves it. She does literally whatever I ask her to do. She never questions me. She represents me well. She's kept herself attractive. She runs the back end of my business. She keeps my house clean. She keeps my belly full and my balls empty. She's done this for over 7 years. It would not be fair for a guy like me who tells guys, "Listen, man, you got to choose the right woman. You got to train your woman," but then actually train a woman and then just keep her. No. I'm not gonna call her my girlfriend anymore, because she's risen past that. She is now my fiance, and she will soon be my wife, but she will not be my wife legally. And so if I decide to up and leave, I have a nice little nest egg set aside for Devin. If I decide to leave for whatever reason, if I trade her in for a younger model, or I just get tired of her, I'm going to make sure she's well taken care of, because again, she's been with me for 7.5 years and has helped me build my business. But if she decides she wants to leave, well, she's not getting shit. Everything we have is in my name. We have 4 cars. They are all in my name. Even the one I bought her for her birthday, in my name. If I decide to split up with her, I'll sell it to her for $1. She'll have a nice little 6-figure nest egg and a nice car, and she can ride off into the sunset like that. Understand, gentlemen, nothing is without risk, but I think I've done a very good job in at least mitigating all of the risk involved. So people can say, "Oh my God, he's done. She's got him by the balls." No, she doesn't. You only get somebody by the balls if you legally marry someone, which is something I'll never do.
Yeah, but Donovan, you're negotiating. You negotiated with her.
No, I didn't. You
shouldn't be negotiating with her. Yeah, no, I know. That's my point. No. I'm making fun.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me that I negotiated, right? Exactly.
No. I'm making fun of the people who critique other people. Like they feel any interaction or relationships or anything like that. Like, "Oh yeah, but you're negotiating with women.
Yes,
that's weak. That's weak." So it's that type of pushback that this space has been getting. So I'm saying, like, that can be applied to anything. Like you went in and you say, "We're going to get married." Like, "Oh, you negotiated with her." I'm saying people who look hard enough for critiques and can't find one will invent one. That's what I was getting at.
I'll tell you something else, GC. Okay. Here's why I didn't have to negotiate with her, because all my chips are already pushed to the middle of the table. That dude, she knows what I got. She knows I'm running my 3rd successful business. She knows, and dude, this is the first time in her life that my girl can walk into any store, buy whatever she wants, and never have to check her bank account. That is something that most women will never experience. And when you offer a woman that kind of lifestyle, guess what? There's no negotiation needed.
But Donovan,
okay, what can I do for you?
Here's the issue, right? I think a lot of people misconstrue the term simping, right? As me and you both stated, it's when things are unsimprocated. You went in and kind of broke it down a little bit more, right? But that's it. If she's not doing the same things or other things that you value as equally important, that's when it's an issue. If
you can't do for a woman who's not reciprocating. If you're doing for her and she's not doing for you, that's simping.
Right. For example, shout out to
hold on one second. Let me let's just make sure that we're up on the super chats. Go ahead, Dr. Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. $11. Looks like Canadian. Maybe that's what that is. There is no genre here. Talk, entertainment, educate, etc. It's just a man space. Add anything to the benefit of men. FBI won't catch you. Laugh out loud. And it seems like another one.
Mm-hmm.
And
shout out, that's my Major General, Nigerian Prince. He's actually one of my generals. Shout out to him.
All right. So
what does it say?
What does this mean?
Let me get my brain around it in a second here. Depends on if he's actually speaking the language I think he's speaking, right?
Yeah. But so there's one more. There's one more. JC, you can pull that one out.
Let me go down here. It's taking its time to load up. There it is. Okay.
And thank you very much. Wasn't someone on this panel exposed by Abba and Preach?
Whatever. Okay, so hold on one second. And by the way, I know Donovan. I know you gotta.
Abba and Preach is low IQ, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude. What Abba and Preach put out, there was no new information in there. All the guy did, all he did was regurgitate what another content creator did. And this Abba and Preach was the last. Abba and Preach, that was this guy's Hail Mary. He is trying to, and listen, man, like he literally tried to get he tried to get my event shut down. He sent me a fake letter from a fake lawyer demanding $10,000 and the cancellation of the CME. Of course, I told him, fuck you, fuck off. Had a successful event, the very next year. And so now he's sort of flailing, he's flailing in the wind and doing that, doing everything he can. Listen, man, I said it once and I'll say it again. Preach, you got a fat fucking wife and you have a problem with it, you can see me in the streets. Real talk. I'm being dead serious, dude. I'll box him, I'll fight him. I don't give a fuck. And I know this is going to be unpopular to the panel, but you guys need to really pay attention to who you're getting your information from. I don't know. How do you guys feel about Jason Black? Because he tends to run off at the mouth a lot, but he never shows his face. I offered Jason Black on my dime. I said, look, Jason, I'll fly you out here on my dime and we can have a discussion face to face. I have not heard anything from him since then. He actually told one of his supporters, I charge $5,000 for people to see me. Fuck him. Dude, the nigga's scared. Listen, I'm not going back and forth with somebody who doesn't show their face. Step one, show your face so I can put your name with it. Step two, like I said, I will absolutely fly. Dude, I'll fly you out first class round trip. I'll put you up in the Ritz-Carlton. All on my dime. He's not going to do it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, as a resident, not face shower, I will say that people who have seen me and are willing to, buy an expensive dinner, salute to Ike, I will meet you in person. Jason Black is a whole different category, in my opinion, on that.
Yeah, Jason Black is a coward. He's a coward because Obsidian did the whole stream with Pearl. Jason Black went on. Him and O'Shea. Listen, I'm not Obsidian's biggest fan, but at least he had Pearl on and put her feet to the fire. O'Shea and Jason were talking all this trash. Well, we need to tell her this, but Obsidian gave them both an opportunity to come on the live stream and give her a piece of his mind. Guess what? Jason Black didn't even show his face. Where was he at? At home, scared. Where was O'Shea? In Poland or Uganda buying you-know-what's, scared. So these guys can talk all the trash they want. They're not, if you're afraid to confront somebody even screen to screen, I got no time for you. Sorry.
All right. Donovan Sharp, ladies and gentlemen. I guess you'll bow now. It'll be a good mic drop moment for you to.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.
Indeed. Thank you very much. As he creeps behind the curtain. So let's get back to the idea of this. First, Kaizo, and then Dr. Thunder. I want to continue on this idea of what the graduate is like, right? What the graduate student looks like. Sorry, go ahead.
I vote that we get a LAR in before I
Oh, okay.
because he's not had his time.
Got it. Perfect. Kaizo, LAR started us talking about, I asked him first about this kind of graduate student, okay? Me saying that, hey, do they care? And LAR said, hey, no, the graduate student is a man who's got his shit together, has, taken care of the productivity and economic piece and all this other kind of decision-making pieces with regards to his position in the world, and should not be caring about these kinds of things, because why would you be chasing down some type of a woman and some type of a family structure that you don't want anyways? It's like you're going into the insane asylum, to use our favorite analogy here, to go, yelling at them. Okay, that doesn't work. What is your vision of what the graduate is like? You came in here as misogynoir saying, hey, why aren't you guys graduating? Why are why are we still talking about this? What does the graduate look like?
Yeah, great point, right? Because when I came in as misogynoir, right, that's when actually we met. And I actually found you from what's his name? O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, right? I saw this nigga. I was like, oh, okay, high IQ. I thought this is must be a fake, right? So I came to it. Anyways, graduation, right? That's when I actually finished my PhD. So that's a great model, right? So I came there. I went to Bernard Riley's show, and I was like, hey, look, why don't we graduate? This is 4 years ago. Why don't we graduate? Like, I'm sure enough men know about the situation. The other guy, Coach Greg Adams, is doing the same stuff about, telling men about stuff. Of course, he's a grifter, right? Bernard Riley's a grifter, and that's fine. I'm also a grifter. On my channel, I grift Africans, like, Nigerian Prince. This nigga send me money, and I'm happy about it. But that's the reality. That's why I appreciate Duke Jackson. He knows he's a grifter. He, in his last video, he's like, I'm grifting this whole just pearly things. And I respect niggas that can say who they are. However, some niggas will grift, but they won't be willing to accept that reality. And I think ultimately it's this, right? The common, viewer of these streams, they're kind of men that are broken. Red pill rage, or red pill sadness, or red pill dreams, whatever you want to call it, that's where they are. And I get that. So you have to kind of create content that kind of suits that. On my channel, if I was a true grifter, that's the thing, I'm a fake grifter. If I'm a true grifter, I would have gone the whole Pan-African route. We're all one, we're all brothers. But no, I do the whole divisionism, context.
Okay, great. Why don't you congeal your imagination and answer the question with regards to this particular graduate student? Okay, he's out. He's figured it out. It took him 1 week.
He can't find a job, so he's a grifter. That's it.
What does he look like?
Out there.
Hold on a second. We're talking about the graduate. We're talking about the person who's graduated from the Manosphere, right? We're talking about the direction, what the content is supposed to produce with regards to actual men's problems, to the degree to which you care about it. What are they supposed to look like? Who's the person that has graduated from these issues? Okay, who's the person who's not looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah and turning into pillars of salt stuck in the Manosphere?
Okay, an example is Dr. Thunder over here, right? He's a graduate of the Manosphere, right? Game Changer, graduate of the Manosphere, right? You always have some other bitter people. I'm not going to mention the names who come for it. I don't believe.
What are the attributes? What are the attributes of these people?
Attributes of graduating is accepting the reality of what it is. You either become a passport bro, like some people became, like I did. You accept it in your own reality and then figure out your own solutions to that problem, or you kind of go and teach other people in that situation, but you don't go around becoming bitter and coming for the Manosphere either, right? I don't believe those people have graduated either, right? Unless they have a specific, political stance. And I think we both know who we're talking about here, right? So I think, it depends. You create your own version. Yeah, go ahead.
Good. No, that's good. Again, LAR, I want to ask you this, okay? And it has to do with the real problem. Are we making the problem bigger than it is? Because I wasn't quite asking that, but Game Changer saw an aspect of what I was asking that alluded to that, right? The implication of my question was that, hey, it seems like we're making the problem bigger than it is. Or really what I'm saying is that, the where you're looking at is a burning city and you're not going to solve it. Yeah, it may be a big flame, but that's not where the solution is. So let's give a concrete example. I think I talked about finding TikTok of crazy, let's just use the word liberal women doing crazy things, which they've done since the beginning of time and will continue to do forever. And you're pointing to that as the source of the problem and gathering men whom have issues to look at that every day. Is that a healthy situation? Does this indeed actually happen? Why would a man who's trying to find women outside of Sodom and Gomorrah constantly look at Sodom and Gomorrah to mine out content there to be staring at? Well, what do you have to say about this particular dynamic I'm describing here?
I hope I go about this the right way. So, the Black Manosphere is a gold mine, in my opinion. But everybody in the Black Manosphere doesn't profit from it. And there are people who are outside of the Black Manosphere who can profit from it more than the guys inside the Black Manosphere. So what you see is, maybe you can call them grifters or you can call them interlopers. And some people who are in this space who are really trying to instigate their way to a position to quote unquote grift. Because what you wind up seeing is people talk about the Black Manosphere as if they've actually been here a while. And even guys in the Black Manosphere, when I talk to them, do you know this person? No. Do you know that person? No. So you got a bunch of people commenting about the space because, truth be told, they're trying to say they've been somewhere where nobody knows them, to put themselves in the conversation. Like, to this day, people keep bringing up, you can say, Angry Man, O'Shea, Obsidian, for the most part. Something comes up with them, right? But the issue becomes, people are like, they gatekept, they're keeping people out. But these people who want all of this, who creating all of these fires, there are people who want in who are trying to gatekeep people. So to me, it's like it's a dubious instigation of the Black Manosphere is this, but who are you? When you say who are you, nobody knows you. Who are you talking about? Nobody knows you. You can't say a person really. And the people you bring up really, for the most part, aren't the people who are quote unquote stoking these fires. So these guys some people are angry and red pill rage and all that other stuff. And the guys, like I know, who graduated prior, they graduated because brothers in the Black Manosphere got you in trucking, got you in IT, got you in other spaces to get employment and make money. The problem became when the guys in the Black Manosphere helped those guys get money and get jobs and learn about real estate and stocks and even crypto. Guess what? That was a small percentage of guys, because most of these guys want entertainment. And now those guys are upset because they've wasted 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years with entertainment, and now they want to turn around and go, well, you told me wrong. Nobody told you wrong. You gravitated to the wrong stuff. You knew the other stuff was there.
Well put. So, Dr. Thunder, you want to chime in amongst other things about the graduate?
Yeah.
First of all, who's the entry-level student that comes in? What is he missing? And what is the space trying to give them? What tools can they give them? And when do they graduate? What do they look like? Right?
Yeah. So I mean, I'll tell you what attracted me to the space initially, and that was men having conversations about things in a sort of open, almost no holds barred kind of fashion, where many things that you could start to believe that you were the only one that has had a certain experience, but you see a lot of folks sort of being willing to share, so that others would have an opportunity to, first of all, know that they're not the only one, but then secondly, to sort of have an outlet to discuss certain topics. That was the first thing that was attractive about the space. Now, secondarily was all of this sort of information. And I became folks like BGS and Dr. Tia-San Johnson, those guys, which with the kinds of information, the kinds of knowledge that they have, that became attractive, that became a draw for me. And I thought that, and I still think that there's tremendous value there, just to even understand, just to know that information. Obviously, the MRA stuff, I think is important. And I think that by having a space where you can actually have these conversations, I think it makes it much more likely that you'll get a critical mass of folks that are actually willing to mobilize and actually get something done. And there's been a number of things that have actually already happened due to the space, maybe not specifically because people sort of got all of their ducks in a row and then went and drafted a piece of legislation or got a piece of legislation in, but rather that because of the conversations in the space, that you had a lot of folks that actually became aware, and it started to sort of push the needle as far as public awareness of certain issues. The kind of anti-feminist thing that comes out of the space is sort of serving as a sort of antidote, or at least a sort of balancing force to try to push back certain things. So I think that that's sort of the value of the space, and I think that the person that is involved in the space, certainly you can just focus on criticizing women for twerking and stuff like that. That could be your focus. But you could also, there's a lot of information in the space that's regular information, and there's professionals that are in the space that are empathetic or sympathetic to the issues of men. And so there's a general understanding because of the conversation in the space. And so then whatever information that it is that they're transmitting to you will be given from that sort of perspective, but I wanted to, if you could, so there's a couple super chats, and even if you go back, let's address those real quick. And then if you could put that SBE comment back up that Doug put up there, that you had flashed on the screen for a little bit, I want to address.
Okay, so go ahead with this one, super chat.
Sure. 11 more Canadian dollars. Let's get money and power this year. Cheers. World is heading negative. We got to push positive. And then, and then I think this one is written by Negro GPT.
I think this is for
so when they were going back and forth with Donovan.
Yeah. A Negro GPT put that in there. He's running. So it's because obviously it's not aware of the actual conversation. So it threw something in there that thought that it would get a response, but apparently AI is not as aware as we think it is. But yeah, if you could put the SBE, but thanks for the money. Thanks for the bread. We'll take the bread. So Doug says SBE will bring an end to unfair family court laws. It will stop women from having pookie babies, and it will make women traditionally despite all of the laws from feminism that make them who they are now. So it seems that there's obviously some sarcasm here. I mean, that's how I'm reading it. It seems like there's some sarcasm there. But I just wanted the SBE thing is an interesting thing. I've done a couple Car Thunders where I discuss some of the issues with the sort of overuse of the SBE term, because in one sense, with the way that it gets used as a just as a sort of You can throw that out for anything that has to do with. So if there's a co-ed panel, that's SBE. If you are pointing out bad decisions that are made by women, that's SBE. If you are a preacher, would be SBE. Mentorship is SBE.
Let me ask you something here, Dr. Thunder. Is there a positive definition of SBE that you agree with? Does the offense exist? Right?
Yeah.
And what is it? Well, if you were legitimately SBEing, what does it look like?
Yeah. So I would argue that what SBE is when it's kind of like so I've changed my view on, okay. So ancient history, when I was a young Christian, as it were, I believed that I needed to try to shoehorn spiritual conversations into many conversations that they didn't belong in. And I'm talking 20 years ago, whatever, long time ago. Since then, I adopted more of the position of preach the gospel at all times, when necessary, use words. So in other words, mostly not talking about it, mostly just being about it. And then if somebody asks me a direct question, then I'm going to tell you what it is that I think. And I'm going to give you the full, the full Monty, as it were. I'm going to give you the entire thing. I'm not going to take anything off of it. But the thing is that people are not going to be open to actually receiving information until they're actually open. You can't make somebody want to hear what you're saying. You're not going to convince somebody just by brute force. They have to actually be willing to take in the information. And so my approach to that sort of topic now is just, I won't say anything until somebody says something to me. When they say something to me and they ask a specific question, then I have the information. I can give you the information. So in large part, what I consider SBE to be is basically a sort of proselytizing to people that don't want to hear the information. They're not open to it. They haven't gotten to a place where they're even going to be willing to receive it. Okay. And truth be told, there is a lot of SBE that goes on. And I think that is negative because it does two things simultaneously. One, it turns people off to the information, right? Because, as the saying goes, it's throwing pearls before swine, right? The pearl has the swine has no understanding of the value of the pearl, and actually just gets annoyed by you and tries to attack you for some bogus reasons, right? So you have that issue. The second thing is it minimizes the value of the information because you're willing to just spill it out anytime and just give it to anybody, even people that are telling you that they don't want to hear it, right? So so I think that is, if we focused more on, and this is why I say that there's a great deal of nuance that I think is actually necessary in this topic that is not usually given. Basically, what they say is, if you do anything that seems to try to incentivize a woman, to get a woman that has been incentivized to take a deal that seems to be better for her because she's financially benefiting, because she doesn't seem to have to pay the cost for taking certain risks, for indulging in risky behavior, because there's a simp, there's a line of simps that are going to be ready to wife her up. The whole hoes are winning. I think where the nexus of this thing is that if you believe that hoes are winning, and shout out to Ramil, if you believe that hoes are winning, then almost every conversation that men have in any relationship context is all 100% SBE.
So let me
However, let me make this distinction. Let me make this distinction. But if you don't think that hoes are winning, if you actually believe that there will be a cost to pay, then it's more like a warning. It's more like, look, if you keep doing this, this is what is going to happen. Otherwise, parenting is SBE, right? So we end up with a problem where you're throwing this out to mean every freaking thing, and I think that's a problem. So the first definition I gave, or this sort of refined definition about, any time that if somebody doesn't want to hear the information, but you're still willing to just spill the information, that's categorically SBE. I'm 100% there. Go ahead.
So the idea of are they winning or not, let me change that slightly, because it's a question of, is the information, are they going to change or not? Is it useful or not, right? Because whether you think that from your point of view this is a winning situation, or you think that, oh, there's going to be a price to pay down the future, if indeed this child, okay, because you're following with the parenting thing, is nowhere in no form are you going to give them a better deal than they currently have based on their own perspective, right? Then should it work? So basically what I'm saying is this: there is nothing that you're going to tell a woman that is better. Just tell, unless she decides because she has been trained conservatively, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Or you go find the conservative women to deal with to begin with. There's nothing you're going to give her that is a better deal than what she has right now. And I know it still sounds like Hose is winning, but Hose is winning has a moral kind of a thing where we have to judge whether they're winning or not. But basically, incentive-wise, we just go to Homo economicus, right? You're looking around working based on incentives, that the incentive structure on the land with the laws and the this and the that, how can you even begin to offer a better deal to somebody who has not already been trained to be a conservative person? Is that even possible? So that is where,
right.
No,
And Dr. Sandler, the issue is, right, you guys are not really looking at this page correctly, right? Black men are not qualified to have the woman respect them. I live in Africa right now. Do you know what my woman usually wants from me? Okay, you take care of every bill, right? I'm a pseudo-Muslim, oh yeah, I'm back. I'm actually a Christian again, right? So,
oh my God.
so as a Christian, right? In African context, you have to pay for everything, right? The woman wants to enjoy. The issue is Black Americans and Black UK people, they want to have this equality, 50-50 spiritualism, like spiritual logic. However, they're not willing to understand that that's not what the woman is attracted to. So the issue here is it's actually a communication problem, it's a language problem. What do women want? What can we provide for the women? And how are we going to go around that question?
Yeah, perfect. That's what I'm saying. Look, if you follow that analysis, and then I'll let you go right ahead. If you follow that analysis, and there's two places you can land, but I'm firmly landed on the place because I don't have time mainly. That says, look, there's no better deal than what some liberal woman can get right now from the system, from the modern system. Like, why even try to offer her something else? It's like, this is where you're at. This is where your head is at. This is where your programming is at. This is the whole platter of D's you can get.
Oh, okay. Let me chime in. Let me chime in because I mean, what the two of you are doing, what Ike and another brother to my left is doing, is they're constantly slaying this straw man. They're constantly slaying this guy who's out.
Emperor Kaiser. But go ahead.
Yeah, they're constantly attempting to slay this guy who is out trying to beg Cynthia G to be a housewife. Like it works under that assumption. And then they're like, why are you still doing this? Why are you still doing this? They're winning. They're happy with this. Nobody is trying to get a woman who's content with the way things are to be discontent with it and turn into a 50s thing. I mean, once again, maybe Obsidian, but he's different. Generally speaking, that's not what people are trying to do. It's this straw man that y'all keep attacking. Y'all just keep stabbing it. It's dead,
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Game Changer. I think perhaps what we're doing is a little bit worse in the sense that we're saying the whole freaking modern woman thing is not to be spoken to because there's no way you can get her to move. No one individual, not as a group. That's simply you. And that's why I keep on going with the graduate. The graduate needs to go away completely, 180 degrees away from this stuff. Like LAR said, you're not even dealing in this. Whatever you consider the community to have the problem is, and I'll let LAR go next, okay, because he hasn't said much. Wherever it is, you can say it's the West, it's in the, contemporary cosmopolitan capitalist, blah, blah, blah place. Whatever that place is, you're not going to solve the women's issues there. There's no point talking to those women. LAR, go ahead.
Like that's the issue with the guys who graduate. They can't necessarily just walk away, because people wind up straw manning them in and making them something they're not, and they gotta say that's not what it is. Like, that's the point. Like, a guy can graduate, move on, and somebody say, you're just like this and you're like that and you like that because I said so yesterday. It must be true. And the guy who graduated, like, seriously, you drug me into this for what? And then it becomes, oh, no. You're like that, aren't you? Oh, you were so sure 5 minutes ago, but now you're not too sure. So the guys who graduate have that issue where they become made up straw men who have to, quote unquote, defend themselves, because if they don't, people are just going to act like guys don't exist. And then if guys don't exist, then it's all of us guys again. Because what winds up happening is this confirmation bias. If you're a Dusty and you go to a Dusty channel and then you say, see, everybody's Dusty. No, you are a dustpan. What happened to the other channels? Well, I'm too dusty to go over there. I don't want to. That's not what I want to see. We've all seen drug addicts, or especially tell you everybody uses drugs. You mean tell me you don't use it? Everybody smoke. That's what you mean. Like, no, that's your work. So it creates a problem for guys that they just can't get away from. To me, it's like people dragging them to Dustyville because they need company.
Game changer. What do you think about?
I still think that.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, because I think there's sort of there's a factor that we're not addressing. Okay, so in this sort of if hoes are winning or hoes are not winning. So part of the calculus, now, if you just look at the dollars, if you say, okay, is there going to be a safety net for a reformed hoe? All right. Okay. The answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
Is there going to be state support and, income and a line of simps to ready to wife them after they? Yes, check. We know that stuff is going to be going to be there. But that is not the only way to evaluate if they are winning or not, or losing. And so what I'm saying is, based on evolutionary biology, based on what actually happens to people when they get older, to women in particular, they start to regret many of the things that they did when they were younger, and they stop being able to enjoy their life.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a blunt question. Do you actually care what some hoe in her 80s?
Wait, hang on. You guys are being low.
No,
hang on.
Quiet, Kaizo.
10 seconds.
Dr. Thunder, do you actually care what that woman was going through her head when she's in her 60s somewhere?
I don't care. I don't care about that woman. I care about the younger women from becoming that woman. That's the point. And that is I would argue one of my issues with this whole thing, and largely the only reason that I continue to be active in this space, is because I have a 9-year-old son. And if aspects that are discussed on a regular can be advanced at all, even one iota, I see that as being directly benefiting him. So that's a reason, a motivation for me to want to be involved in the space. So if I'm SBE with the purpose, and the purpose is my son. Right. So, yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's do the super chats. Let's get the super chats in. Ray Arthur.
$10.
$10 blank super chat, just trying to support. Appreciate that. And there was one earlier than that.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's do this one first.
Or
and then
no,
we'll go
after
back.
that. I'm sorry. After that.
Okay.
That's right. Gregory Scotland with a $15 super chat. Let's go. Salute Dr. Thunder. The major focus has to be on the productive black men to pursue their best, even if they have to move somewhere else. Date out, and date out again. Passport bro. SYSBM. I hear you. Let me just wrap up with a bow what I've said, and then I'll cede. I'll relent. So I don't care about the 60-year-old supposed born again virgin or whatever. I don't care about that person. That person has made their choice. They're not likely to make any significant change. I am concerned about the younger folks. And that's why I think that the more effective aspect of this is actually focusing on the younger folks. And that's where I see this actually being more effective than it is. If you're just trying to convince some mid-40s woman to change, she's already got 3 baby daddies and like this. That is that's useless. However, using that mid-40s, 3-time baby mama, whatever, using her as an example to say, look, you don't want to end up like this. I don't see that as a useless sort of exercise. I see it as warning folks, saying, look, you don't want this to happen to you. You don't want to be this person. You want a better life than this, X, Y, and Z. So, and when you get older and you look back on your life, what kinds of things do you want to be able to say? And so that's my thought there.
Same thing that because there's a couple more super chats going on as we're doing this, but as I just highlight this one here, because I think there's only one afterwards, right?
Yes.
This is similar to what Game Changer has said in the past with regards to focusing on the future generation, right? So here is here let me interrogate that, or let's try to interrogate that. Or Kaizo, let's try to see if we can attack that point of view. Obviously for reasons of seeing where the weak spots are and whatnot. The idea will be, okay, cool. So a new generation, and we know that how the stock or a particular a brood of women coming out the right way would be through training. You have a system, a culture, femininity having its place, definition, all that kind of stuff, right? And that will be indeed what would save a significant amount of a future generation for you to even call it a generation, let's say. Okay, I will grant Dr. Thunder that even if one person, okay, we'll take away the one soul kind of thing, that yes, if it's completely worth it, if that one soul out there hears you, then fine. So let's not do a quantitative thing on that aspect. But if we take it to the group level, okay, now getting quantitative, that to save the future generation would be to establish this other kind of an order, which either you can try to establish in the burning building, or you could go try to establish elsewhere. This would be perhaps, and I'm just thinking on my feet here, right? An attack or something that would say, look, it's not going to be effective if you're in it for one soul type stuff, fine. However, don't we know that culture has to be instilled in a group of people, being NPCs and whatnot, and also with women being, particularly, shall we say, apt to be moved by culture. But anyways, Kaizo, is that fair? And then we'll go to Game Changer and kind of go around here. Is it fair to say, look, that this is not going to work because you're not going to tell women as a group to listen to XYZ while the culture is raising them in a different way? Either you change that culture or you go build a new culture. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so great point. So I'm going to begin from Dr. Thunder's point of view, right? Which is, it's Islamic and Christian. I actually got to know a little bit about Islam. It's a concept of, right, if you kill one innocent person, you've might as well have killed the whole world, right? Every individual soul is worthy of every other individual souls out there. It's the same. There's no quant. You can't go quant when it comes to qual of soul logic, right? Yeah. So fine. I agree with you, Dr. Tan, on that point, right? Even if it's just one individual that hears the message and applies the message, here's the issue. I was that individual, Dr. Thunder. I had the message. I came to Bernard Riley shows, right? I had people like Game Changer, Bernard Riley coming for me, right? And they were again against me for their own, cultural issues, and that's the issue. I said, hey, look, I get your message, but they call me a male feminist. So you see, that's the issue, Dr. Thunder, right? Because the culture is on simping everybody else and also grifting as well. These are grifters, like Game Changer, Bernard Riley, O'Shea Duke Jackson, Ike, Ogiamien, even you, Dr. Thunder, right? All you guys are grifters. And you're grifting because you understand that, everything sells. So if that's the context, I leave that, pontification there alone for a different day for marination, right? So to go back to your other question, Ike, is simple as this, right?
Wait, Kazo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, what you just said about the Bernard, because you brought that up twice. If I'm not
No,
mistaken,
he brought it up 4 times.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't you go there trolling?
That's
Okay,
like asking
fine,
if the
fine,
sky
fine,
blue or
okay,
the
okay.
pigs, whatever pork.
Okay.
99% is a troll, but I think that you go ahead and answer for yourself. The
No,
message
there
is
was
the same message. You were going there basically saying, "Hey, how about you do something, right?" As opposed to talking about this.
okay. No, Elia obviously he's a high IQ brother, obviously, so he knew I was trolling. That okay? Yes, I was trolling. However, I still meant what I was saying. Yes, I was trolling to get views.
Kazo, you's a Muslim simp. Who you got to get it together? You got to get it together. You can't be a trolling victim. You got to get it together.
Okay. That's why. See, here's the issue with shows like this, right? It's regulated. Everybody gets a chance to speak, and you're gonna call people out on their BS, right? And that's the issue. You got brothers like Ella being high IQ, knowing what I was doing and reading my mind. Okay, yes, I was trolling, but I still had a point, and the point was we need to come together as black men and rebuild the community.
How good would that work trolling? Just let me know. You're gonna troll the community back together.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I changed my ways. Ask Ike. Ike, did I not change my ways? Did I not go and fulfill some of the things that we agreed on?
Game changer. So, what do you have to say about this? The young, right? So there's the young aspect, and there's the one soul thing that that has been we've all kind of agreed on that is worth it. However, how is it not necessary to have start almost anew or from somewhere else where something is already pre-established, where go pluck the fruit from someone else's garden because there's no other way other than from a garden to get this particular fruit or whatever. And if that garden over here is burning, Western civilization is burning, and yes, you can talk to one soul in there, well, how can the future generation come out of a burning house by only listening to this megaphone out here, with information? Okay, so there's a radio here. It's telling them information, but they're being raised in a burning house. They're going to come out filled with suits, right, and whatnot. So goes the argument. What do you say about that argument, Game Changer?
Well, I mean, with the collapse of one civilization is always the birth of another. So you can say that the Black community, this is burning, it's collapsing. And, there's a lot of truth to that. The cultural fabric of it has changed and is going in a direction that it can't really rightly recover to what it was before. I think that any focus on the future is really just to help it become something new from the ashes. Forest burns and then you plant trees again and, something else grows. I think now what what people like myself is like, okay, what are the trees that are going to be planted out of the ashes that is created? If you are Gen X or, maybe even millennial or older, then, you're pretty much grew up in a burning society. So, a lot of brothers are on some save yourself stuff any way that you can. What comes out of the burning society? Well, that's something that we can help cultivate.
Very good. Nice and succinct there. Dr. Thunder, I'm sorry.
Can I address something that you said earlier? When you were saying,
Yeah.
When you were saying that, your conclusion is, or it's probably better for men to just stay away from Western women. When I mentioned before that, I give the information about Western women and their behaviors and what led them to this, mixed in with a little bit of comedy and entertainment. And then I say I let the individuals come to whatever conclusion that they like. What you just stated, and that was your conclusion. That was the conclusion that you've come to. And which it may or may not have been influenced by the Manosphere, but that's how you some guys go SYSBM, some guys go passport bros, and some guys just say,
So can I
just
ask you a
leave them.
question, Game Changer?
No, or you can, but after this, and that would be your conclusion, and that's perfectly fine. But what a lot of brothers are doing is they're saying, and this is people that were in the Manosphere who now condemn it. It's kind of like the psychology behind graduating the second grade and then going back to your second grade teacher, like, hey, why are you teaching this? I already graduated. Why are you still teaching this? It's kind of that. It's this,
Okay.
the purpose of it is for me to learn and no one else. And
So can I
now
ask
go
you a
ahead and ask
question?
your question. Go for it.
Yeah. So I got 3 questions for you. So one question is, I agree with you on the last point you made about the whole teaching stuff. You're now A levels, or I guess you Americans call it GDE, whatever it is. You're now whatever diploma. Why don't we have like levels to this shit? Right? Can we have like levels to different channels? Okay, so Ike's channel can be level 3, right? Because he's almost there, but he's not quite there. Your channel can be level whatever it is, right? Why don't we actually systematize this so that we know, everybody, like, again, this is what I'm trying to say about,
Sounds like
black people coming together
Okay.
and agreeing on a specific
well,
subset.
No.
Let's
I'll answer your
legitimize it.
questions. I'll answer your questions as they come, so I don't forget the first one when you ask the third.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the answer to that particular question is because it's corny and kind of stupid. What's your next question?
Okay, but they can literally have just a number there. Everybody doesn't have to know
which would
it.
make it which would make it corny and kind of stupid. Kind of like if you apply that to most anything in like outside of the professional world, or the military or something like that. Like, say a person wants to call himself a ladies man or a player, and then and people call themselves that all the time, and then a person was to say, yes, I'm a player level 2.5, that is when it starts to sound really, really corny.
Okay, fine. So
Okay.
basically, you're against the use of it by the actual individuals, not the logic itself, but the use. Okay, fine. I agree with you. So next question is this, right? Game changer is this, right? Okay, fine.
Okay.
So we know some of the solutions, right? I'm an ex-Muslim, right? Now I'm a Christian again, but I know that taking over the churches was the solution. Why don't you FBAs want to take over the churches? I got one more question. That's my second.
Look, man, you look at your religion first before you even ask us questions.
Wait, I don't even understand how this is a religious thing, but what do you mean FBAs? You're saying why don't...
Okay, so black women run the black churches in America, even the UK. It's the same stuff. So why can't black men take over the churches? Like, again, I used to be Muslim, so the Muslim men took over the miskitis or masjids. So why can't you, as black men, take over the churches to rebuild the society from that point of view?
Okay, Kazo, I'm gonna end this at the pass. Black American men, or FBA, are not about to do everything that everybody has in their mind that we should do when they think we should do it, about what they think we should do it. Unfortunately, and I'm glad you said that. A person as hypocritical as you think you're gonna give good advice. Like, even if we went back to the church, which one would you go to?
Okay, yeah, that's okay. That question, and I'm going to co-sign what LAR said, but then I'm going to add to that. If we already talked about a community or a system burning, then that would include the churches or whatever network of religions that pertains to that particular community. So I think that if the plan is to let it burn and then cultivate what happens next, that does include the religious aspect of it and its practices. What's your third question?
Okay, I think both you and Ella should give a good point. So the last question is simple as this, right? Okay, so the graduation theory. Okay, I get it. But why can't we then create channels, right? okay, we don't have to state the actual, let's say, levels. I agree with you, it's corny. You're giving a point there, right? Why can't we just create channels that do have that? Okay, yes, people gonna say BGS exists, and yeah, fine, I understand, but can't we find a way to sort of put this together into a actual system whereby we ignore certain channels, right, which is more on the Keisha loving, right, or Keisha whatever it is, and then we go to other channels which actually give us business talk, understanding. For example, this Hakeem situation has come up. A lot of am I allowed to say the N word, Ike, or no?
You done said it a
Go
lot.
ahead. You do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of niggas, right, are out here telling me, "Oh, Kaizo, do a show tonight," and I'm gonna do a show tonight, yeah, on Hakeem's situation. I was like, no, Hakeem is just as low IQ as the other people because he's trusting his mother. We know that mothers can't be trusted, especially if you're coming from certain demographics, right? So it's not a solution. It just happened to work for him specifically. So why is it that we can't create specific logic that works for all black men in general? Game
Kaizo,
changer. I became a passport bro. Actually, one of my
no,
woman is
Kaizo,
actually out there watching. Right? If I tell her to say "Hail King Kaiser," she's gonna say it. You see, that's
Kaizo,
power. But the rest of
Kaizo,
you guys are out here crying about women. And yeah, go ahead, brother.
Kaizo. I
Well,
know
well,
you know
that's not a
this.
question.
I,
Okay.
I know you know this, and this is part of the major problem with two things you just did. One, you spoke about the space as if you didn't know that what you're looking for does exist. You just not saying it's there. And the second, 1 minute is you, the next minute is we. You need to pick a side, bro, because this is what we talking about with grifters. This is what keeps happening. Some people come in, you need to do this, you need to do that. What we need to do is make up your mind if you're going to be around this space. Either you're in it or you're not, or you're around it, but you can't be both when it's convenient for you.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
good. No, you got
Yeah.
your three. You got your three shots in.
Wait 1 second.
Yeah,
Last point, please.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
last.
That's it, Kaiser.
Uh,
Good,
Kaiser, you don't have
good
to.
little rally there. But hold on a
it,
second.
please, the last
There's
point, then
a
I'll leave it alone.
no. There is a point here about what Dr. Thunder mentioned before, which is you don't focus on certain things like if you're the preaching the gospel, you're just living your life, right? And then you don't. But then when somebody asks, then you give your opinion. It's a very good theory of kind of like of marketing or branding at the highest level. I'm taking the aspects of what Kaizo said that are not trolling, and I'm steel manning them and saying that it's something important. In other words, the ideal world will be, Dr. Thunder, where you're out there just putting out the real information which you know is going to help men, get out of a particular situation. And if it happens to come up, right, somebody has something, then you're like, okay, well, yeah, this is the XYZs. These are the basics of the space. We all know that we have this information, right? And there is a way of kind of like establishing, it's called pacing and following, like you establish your credibility in one other area, whatever it may be, game changer in being an IT guy or the IT ladder, blah, blah, blah. Establish your credibility in that area. And then when you give a political or social commentary, and you may, this is generally kind of directed to Dr. Thunder, because you said this before and it has something to do with what Kaizo said. When somebody has done that, established themselves, let's say, as a very good, jazz musician, in your point of view, they have a good channel regarding something, maybe something even as simple as electronic equipment. Not that that is a simple thing. But then they also then happen to, at week or episode 10, you hear their opinion about some social or whatever issue. You're likely to take it more. You're like, that is, let me consider that more. So I know that is the sweet spot when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. Okay, but then I'm giving credence to this kind of aspect of that will be the perfect situation where people are actually there, gathering around, listening to the kind of information that will get them, but within a space that has certain presumptions with regards to axioms that are there, and then you can hear each person's kind of idea just as an aside. That level of channel, that particular space within the space, to give further kind of credence to those silly. Putting a number on it, whatever. But anyways, let's do the super chat real quick. And we're also kind of getting to that time. But yeah, Dr. Thunder, what does this one say?
Yeah. So Carlo with the $6 Canadian, multiple supports today. Thank you very much. Despite the bull, don't be divided as ninjas over SBE, FBA, SYSBM, etc. Look out for one another. Yeah.
Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. So we got another one.
And thank you very much to Doug. The $10 support, always in here, always supporting, moderating, getting it in. The Manosphere can recite every wave of feminism, see that the change came with policies, yet think SBE will reverse the modern behavior without challenging policies is futile. And I happen to agree. You have to actually.
Yeah. Perhaps we can react to this comment and give your closing thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, starting with like LAR, and we'll continue to get the super chats as they come in. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the stream, share the stream. You guys have already been quite generous with regards to the super chat. The super chat button definitely well lubricated.
Generous,
today.
The
grift is
high IQ nonsense.
Is high.
It's working.
So, yeah, it does work sometimes. It's that perfect nexus of, anyways, whatever. However, though, anyways, let me not come for the people. So LAR, we've kind of covered a few things here with regards to, okay, if there's an issue and the space gives you a history of the issue and also a mechanism that it works, and then other people are trying to share the ways of getting out, because we all agree that nobody wants to be stuck there, right? There is the chance that grifting happens, and then there's the chance that simping happens, and that's just going to be what it is. And we've had a conversation kind of going through like, okay, what would this graduate person look like? Are we producing enough of it? Blah, blah, blah. Ended with this kind of perfection of where you have good kind of marketing, where you're listening to somebody because of his expertise on technical analysis of the stock market or crypto or whatever it may be, or trucks or whatever. And then he also has a point of view. That's typically the best way, especially for men, to kind of get them to, you're killing all kinds of birds with one stone, right? But let's close with your reaction and any other thing you want to say to what Doug has said here in the comment. Go ahead, Eliar.
Thank you. I think that at this particular point of time in society, even in the Black manosphere, even in the whole relationship type space, you have men who either have families, have kids, or want families, or want kids, who have a different ideology than men who don't have families and don't have kids and don't want families and don't want kids. So their approach to everything is completely different. And in a sense, it's only time will tell, because I'll say for there are issues with men who have families and kids, and those have been pointed out. But you can't point out the issues yet with the guys who don't have families and don't have kids, because we all know that at some point they might want them. They're just not at that point now. So all of this stuff is going to hit a head, but it might be later before sooner.
Well put. Game changer, your final thoughts, and also with regards to the comment about the legislature, I think within our lifetime, just a commentary on this particular thing. Let's say you look at Barack Obama, you look at Hillary Clinton, and you pick the topic. It might be immigration, or it might be, let's see, the rainbow rights, right? We all know videos of them saying one thing about rainbow rights, and then boom, they turned around and then they started saying something else about rainbow rights. And we all know how the system works in order to make that happen, make that be the case. It's lobbying and money and this is and that's whatever political machinations behind the scenes. That's why these people say one thing in one video, and the next 5 years they're saying something else. So the idea here is, hey, if men, black men, whatever, are going to get in that kind of a situation, this is the only way it happens, whereby you're going to then have quote unquote power, as the rainbow rights have power, right? Just wanted to say that with regards to the legislature stuff and whatnot. But Game Changer, what are your closing thoughts and commentary on what Doug here has to say?
Okay, so it's interesting that he brings up feminism. Now, I cannot recite the history of feminism because that's not the area of history that I'm really concerned with or curious about. However, what I do know about feminism is that 1 year women could not display their ankles at the beach without getting arrested, and now they're having slut walks and and OnlyFans and all that crap, and that's all because of feminism. And it really started with not them saying, let's hurry up and change policy. Oh, y'all haven't done anything. It's only been 12 years, or some crap like that. No, they understood that it was an uphill battle and they had to change the way both men and women think in order for 100 years later, they can, create this, dystopia that we live in today. So it wasn't an easy thing for them to do it, nor was it a short-term thing. It was a bunch of small changes that didn't start with policy. And, it took them like 40 years after, they formed to even, get the right to vote or some crap like that. So, let's not pretend like they just came out on some stiff shirt, league of lawyers and something like that and changed everything instantly. That wasn't the case. They had to change the minds of the women who would later become voters. Could you bring that back up so I can address the second part?
Got it. There you go.
Okay, thank you. And then it says, SBE will reverse modern behavior without changing policies is futile. Okay, so I don't know where this thinking that we're trying to reverse modern women's behavior like most of our audience is like mine is over 95% men. So I don't really know but once again, I think that this may be more of that straw manning. And also nobody is saying don't do it without policy. No, this is really more of the focus of changing the behavior of men towards the modern women. It's really as simple as that. And SBE, I don't know, I guess these are tools. I mean, it has a very fluid definition. It changes to whatever they want it to be at the time that they're saying it. But what it really means is just shut up and stop making money is essentially what it means. But yeah, I'm done with that. By the way, Dr. Thunder, you were just SBEing this whole stream and you were grifting because you got super chats.
100% sure.
It's true. This is number one grifters, man. They never donate to me, but they're always getting the money over here from me. I was the first super chat. Yeah, you see, grifters.
So Kaizo, I think this comment here is for you.
Yeah, so we have grifters right on the. We're exploiting people right on the panel. We're grifting the people on the panel. Anyhow, here let's do this super chat thing. Anti-gravity 74 $5 super chat. Can we ask our African brother to refrain from recklessly talking about black men? Africans have as many issues as black people. Theirs is just a bit different. All right, and like we have about 3 others. Okay, there we go. Deanie, does a graduate look like stepdaddy Donovan Sharp? Okay, a little bit about that Negro. Negro GPT right there is acting up again. Like I said, the Negro version is not as clear as the other version. So anyhow, Manna Tomorrow, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Men came to a place and paid for things to work, to not work or support things.
My bad. I thought you had a different. Anyways, I think. Sorry.
Black man.
Go ahead.
Support things that lead nowhere to purposely hide the fact they made no progress despite having the answers to everything. A little convoluted. I get the sense. We know what your perspective is, Man of Tomorrow, on this issue. My disagreement tends to be on, people are free to do what they want to do, and and a lot of folks actually tend to use certain trending stories to pretty much to underline issues or topics that they like to discuss, which actually have quite a bit of depth to them. So I don't think there's a one size fits all with that, but I get it. And then who is let's see, who was it? That was it. Wait a minute, anti-gravity. We got that one. Okay, yeah, I think we got all the super
But Kaizo, there was one that was directed to you, and then your final thoughts. But so you know what those are. However, wanted to say something game changer, and that's why something about some of your concluding statements. See, there's a reason why I was asking about individuals and individual graduates, and it does come from a particular perspective, which is I don't believe in this legislature rebuilding stuff in the same way I don't believe in talking to Sodom and Gomorrah while it's burning stuff. Right? I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the path. I think that there's some other, you're going to need to build power in some other way in order to then come back and change the legislature, and it would be an afterthought. You would already have the power. It's like it would have to follow. It would be just like a wet stamping of the fact that you've won now, that kind of a thing. Just like you said, it's not actually quite different from what you said about the feminism in terms of moving everything is already set in place, and then the legislature is just like just to put in the rubber stamp on it. All the media has already been turned around. All the people have already been changed. Companies already changed, those kinds of things, right? So wanted to just make that point there. But Kaizo, your closing thoughts, and I definitely address the fact that you're out here recklessly talking about quote unquote black men, while you dusty East African can barely tell the difference between your ass and a hole in the ground. So go ahead.
Cool. So if I tell my girl right now, right, she's in fact she's from one of my quarter tribes. If I tell her to put the Hell King Kaiser, she's gonna do that shit, right? Why? Because I don't have to fight my woman to get what I want. You've seen that shit already in my one man one to Mo's channel the other day, right? The guy who donated the first, right? So the issue here is simple, right? Black men have to decide, what do you want from your women? Stop having conversations about women, right? That's the issue with the Black Manosphere altogether. You are men. Build Sparta. But you niggas would rather go out there crying about Keisha every single day. Keisha just solved a Pythagorean theory that has never been solved using only trigonometry, right? What are black men doing? Nothing. Just out there crying, being shot up, and going to jail. And that's a reality. Yeah, you might not be because you're high IQ. You work within the music industry. You're a professor, or maybe you're someone else out there. You got a big channel. You call it LA or whatever R. You're another nigga over here with a game changing shit and all that stuff, talking about, let's say, programming. But the reality is simple. You black men don't add anything of value to this sphere. And that's the reality. So anyways, my closing remark is simple as this, right? Black men have got to rise up, stop crying about women, stop talking about Keisha, don't grift about Keisha, unless you acknowledge it. Every single video you got to say, I'm grifting, just like O'Shea Duke Jackson says. I'm grifting out here. O'Shea Duke Jackson, grifting out here in the game, right? If you do that, I have no issue with you. But if you're gonna out here grift and then not recognize the grift game, you are dusty. But shout out, I got obviously special respects for Ike, obviously Dr. Thunder, LAR, and Game Changer. I'm beginning to understand who he is, but he's still a grifter for now. But and a couple times maybe he regains himself.
Very well done. One of your better performances, Kaizo, actually. Not bad. You had the rhythm and everything. You East Africans are beginning to warm up to you guys a little bit. You guys not as dusty as I thought. But point well put there. Strongly stated that, hey, the Keisha thing, and I don't think it was completely addressed. And maybe you can readdress it, Dr. Thunder. In other words, if we continue to say, hey, is there an end to finding Keisha on TikTok saying crazy stuff? And
I don't think we're into that. And this is interesting because I mean, I'm doing the same thing that everybody else does. I'm using trending content, trending stuff to basically say stuff that I want to say. Like I mean, I have a TikTok, but my YouTube shorts, that's what they are. I'm clipping TikToks, and then I'll say something. I'll play a little bit of the TikTok, and then I'll say something, and it's a I write a script. I'm actually trying to impart actual knowledge. It'll be statistics, data. It would be information, useful information. I think. So I'm doing the same thing that everybody else is doing with regard to that. And you can call it a grift. You can call it, SBE, whatever you want to call it. It's a standard regular communication practice, which is you have to captivate an audience.
What if I were to call it this? And in the interest of Steelman and being serious, what if I were to say it is the aspect of demagoguery and taking advantage of men with a particular wound by showing them the source of that wound over and over again, right? What if I said this particular kind of sin was being committed? What would you say?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure that that's a sin, because they can turn it off. I mean, they don't have to watch. The aspect that I'm talking about is just you have to get in where people actually are, and if people are watching a certain kind of content all the time, then you get in with where they are, and then once you've made the connection, then you can go where you want to go. You can't captivate people. You can't actually get them interested in what you have to say by just randomly saying stuff, and they're not going to go and see what you're talking about. I look at, I have a level up playlist on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, you probably got 3 views. No insult to you, but yeah, but I know
right.
I know the pain. Go ahead.
Right. So you don't get a lot of views with that, but the relationship topic stuff, and especially talking about aspects of dysfunction and relationships and whatnot, that stuff gets a lot of views.
Isn't that sociopathic on your path if you say, okay, that I do want to solve problems for men, but I'm just only giving the views, and I know you do have the content that you're trying to put out there, but where then I guess the question would be, how is this content, how is it working so far in terms of hiding that nugget in there? What is the nugget that you're trying to transmit, and how is it working so far?
Well, it's different per video. It depends on what the video is, but I think the information is good information, and the principles that I tend to bring out are deeper, more spiritual, sort of solutions to a lot of these common issues that we see. So yeah, I mean that's my tendency. It's like
you and spiritual logic will be in the same rank in Kaizo's corny ranking system, or something like that, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know exactly, but my point is, and I'll just kind of park it. I'll park it here. When you talk about SBE has become let's throw that at everything. We'll call everything SBE, especially when you can't address what it is that's actually being said. Yeah. And so I think that there needs to be more nuance in the conversation. So, and I'm suggesting that the nuance is, if hoes are winning, and then therefore, like the Book of Lamentations, where the author, the writer, is lamenting that it seems that evil people, they always get over. Nobody ever gets paid back for the evil that they've done. The despot is just getting more rich and getting more powerful. The poor is hardworking and doing all the stuff that they're supposed to do, but stays poor, and their family will be poor forever, and all like that. And the murderers get off, all of that kind of stuff. That's what Lamentations is saying. When I say hoes are winning, I'm using hoe as actually as a placeholder for sinful behavior of all kinds. Right? So I don't actually believe that hoes are winning. Okay? I think that temporarily it may seem that things are going well for them. But there's going to become a time, and I don't want this to come off as corny. And even if that time is in the hereafter, there's going to be a time when they're going to have to pay for what they have done. There is going to be something to pay eventually. All right. So I might not be there to be able to point at them and laugh and say, ha, 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 I told you. And I don't expect that, nor do I want it. And even in situations where people have done me wrong and people have tried to console me by saying, hey, stuff will come out in the wash, or everything is going to be okay, or they'll get theirs. I never expect to see that, because I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in some sort of cosmic justice that shows you, the person that was wronged, the other person get theirs, get their payment back. I don't believe in a system that I don't believe that it works that way. I believe eventually people will have to figure, they'll have to, eventually something will happen, but I don't think it will be because of some sort of cosmic force, right? All I believe, but I do think that in the hereafter, all things will be rectified. And so my counsel to folks, and the reason that I apparently participate in SBE, is because because I don't think that hoes are winning. I actually think that they're not winning, and eventually they're going to have to pay. And so my conversation is a warning, not to the people that are thoroughly invested in whatever the incentive, the incentive has caused them to make whatever risky behaviors, not the people that are in their mid 50s and been doing this the whole time. No, my desire is to try to get the younger folks to see these older folks, in the mistakes that they have made, and that be a cautionary tale. And that's something that people have always done. That's something that people have always done. That's something that preachers do. That's something that parents do. It's something that mentors do. It's something that teachers do. The each one teach one principle is based on this. This person has seen stuff, the teacher has seen stuff that the student has not seen. There's like, look, here's a warning. Don't walk down that path because there's a hole over there. Walk down this other way. Watch out for that stuff. So to call that categorically SBE, I think is problematic. And it doesn't put us in a place where we can actually take advantage of what we know and try to actually help other people. But the people that you talk to have to want to hear what it is that you're saying. And if they don't want to hear, if they don't care about hearing what it is that you're saying, and you keep trying to force it, yeah, that's SBE.
Shout out to you. So the final super chat, or there is at least the last one on the screen here. And
sure.
Grifters.
That's right. We getting our grifts happening.
Hella grifts
is ineffective, right? Hella grifts is ineffective, but let men have their say regardless. Content creators should focus on their own lane. The market is there somewhere. Thank you.
A very nice place to kind of put it there, ladies and gentlemen. It kind of summarizes my views ultimately, which is, take responsibility for what you are doing. The cheesy way to do it is, be the change you want to see in the world and all that kind of crap. But basically, the idea being out here just doing your own thing and being the kind of, look, okay, so what is my content targeted towards? Okay. Generally speaking, I know that I'm not going to have a massive audience, even if a huge amount of people, I gather a huge amount of people that I'm targeted towards. Basically, that's because I'm not after the normie of any sort of whatsoever, right? I know that people whom are outliers, okay, still do require a lot of whipping, waking up, commiseration, and further understanding to be done. With my particular brand being the mastery of yourself, right? From a very granular point of view. So I know that this is not normie land at all. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that hey, what is the comment on the screen right now about staying in your lane, quote unquote, being the change you want to see, and all of that kind of stuff completely summarizes what I'm about. And I'm not saying that someone else is usurping the air in the room by doing their SBE, for example, because it's like, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. My job is to get the peak person that I'm after through means such as what I described earlier, which is establishing yourself as a particular authority in something, and then them gathering some of the other further context with regards to general advice that you might have, right? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great...
TLA is in the chat room. He wanted a definition of grifter.
TLA wants a definition of grifter. A definition of grifter, okay, we just do the basic English one. It does mean doing petty swindling, right? You know, it's not nothing too great, not massive fraud, but petty swindling. In the particular context of this conversation, we're talking about demagoguery. We're talking about the fact that a space where there's a group of people whom have a particular dissatisfaction, right, is always primed for demagoguery. This is nothing new. Socrates said it thousands of years ago. It's the whole critique of democracy, right? Demagoguery. And
let me give him my definition. So TLA, it's a general pejorative for a person making money and other people not liking to make money. For example, you give legal advice about divorces. Some would call you an attorney, others would call you a businessman, but people who just want to dislike you and take you down will call you a grifter. They will say you're grifting off people's pain because as they go through divorces or they have the fear of divorces. See, it's a general pejorative. Somebody likes you, you're an attorney, you're a businessman, you're an entertainer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't like you, you're a grifter. That's how the word is being used at present, TLA.
If they use the hard ER, they don't like you. But if they use the A,
grifter.
Grifter.
We're grifters. We're not grifters. and hold up. For a television reference, I'm going back through the Ray Donovan series, which I like a lot. Mickey Donovan is a grifter. There you go.
Well, yeah, it's perception. I mean, you know, George Washington was either a rebel or a revolutionary, depending on the perspective. Ike's ancestors were either businessmen or slave traders, depending on the perspective.
Definitely both.
Yeah, okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have had the conversation. Okay, we've even been so bold as to say, hey, there's a specific reason for this space vis-a-vis whether or not SBE is going on. And that reason will be, hey, you know, you give people information, okay, about the current state of the family. Let's say it's the Black family, right? And how it got there, hence some kind of a historical context. And then you share notes on how to get out. It, obviously, given information at some point, could then kind of slide into SBE. We talked about that. And then also the sharing of information of how to get out is an issue, because what if the audience doesn't want that kind of information, and it's just easier to tell them to look back on Sodom and Gomorrah, and who does a graduate look like anyways, and all that kind of stuff. But I think that we definitely had some point of contention here where I definitely believe that any kind of form of men negotiating or seemingly negotiating, okay, and this is, I understand, on an aesthetic level, okay, it's aesthetically bad, not morally bad, from the point of view of an established order, for men to be seen negotiating for power with their women, or saying, look, you're not with me, you need to come back to the table, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that it is worth mentioning, because after all, a big part of getting people on your side is not looking like the paraplegic person with leprosy, right? And if you doing certain kinds of behavior, whether you think it is bad or not, but from the point of view of the larger society, looks like you're a paraplegic, whatever, you don't look strong, you look weak. Those things still matter a lot, especially in the political context, which after all we're in. But anyways, let me not go on and pontificate and all that BS. Ladies and gentlemen, been a great show. Thank you very much for the super chats. Thank you very much for the attention. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we are out. Peace.
Peace.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil lurking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.